Shri Shri Anandamayi Ma ki Jai. Question. We often hear you say, think of God. But surely God is unthinkable and formless. What can be thought of must have name and form, and therefore cannot be God. Mataji. Yes, without a doubt, He is beyond thought, form, and description. And yet I say, think of Him. Why? Since you are identified with the ego, since you think you are the doer, since you say, I can do this and that, and since you get angry, greedy, and so forth, therefore you have to apply your I-ness to the thought of Him. True, He is formless, nameless, immutable, unfathomable. All the same, He has come to you in the form of Shabd Brahman and of Avatar Shabd. These are also He Himself, and consequently, if you abide by His name and contemplate His form, the veil which is your eye will wear off, and then He who is beyond form and thought will shine forth. You think that you are engaging in sadhana, but actually it is He who does everything. Without Him, nothing can be done. And if you imagine that you receive according to what you do, it is not correct either. For God is not a merchant. With Him there is no bargaining. An old gentleman asks, is it right for girls to earn money? Ma. At the present time, people think they have to look after themselves. So they go and take up a job. They do not realize that as soon as they give off their knowledge, their necessities are already arranged for. Knowledge should not be sold. In the course of Mataji's sojourn at Kishanpur, in June 1953, she and her party moved to New Forest, Dehradun, for a couple of days following the invitation of a devotee. There Mataji was accommodated in a tent in a very large garden, and another big tent was erected for satsang. One morning, Mataji came to the satsang tent and distributed flowers and garlands to the few people present. She was in a joking mood, and there was talk and laughter. Taking up a bougainvillea twig, she said, "How beautiful! Look, the leaves are gerua." "In my country, all leaves become gerua in autumn," I remarked. "In your country?" said Mataji. "Which is your country?" "Where I used to be before I came to India." "Before?" questioned Mataji. "What does it mean? And before that, where were you?" "With you." "With me? How do you know?" "You know." "How do you know that I know?" "I don't know." "How do you know that you don't know?" "I don't know anything. I am a fool." "How do you know that you are a fool?" Now I shall have to become silent. And what will be the use of this silence? Idle talk and nonsense will remain unsaid. And to what good? I don't know. Mataji, you don't know. Again you repeat that you don't know. Has one who does not know anything the right to become angry? One who knows gets angry because this is or that is not as it is should be. But a fool cannot be angry since he does not know how things should be. Always remember that you are a fool and that therefore you can't become angry. It is the I that gets angry, and it is the I that has to be dropped. Then the fool may perhaps become enlightened. Anyway, bear in mind that you know nothing, and therefore there is no rhythm or reason in getting angry. Then the I will go and Atmananda may become revealed. Mataji handed the bougainvillea twig to me and said, "Pluck all the petals that are gerua, dry them and keep them. The dried flowers are still with me, but they have lost their beautiful color." One of Mataji's outstanding characteristics is that she usually does not reply from any particular point of view, but throws light on every problem from various angles. Here is a striking example. Question: suppose I have business dealings with someone and he cheats me by not giving me my money's worth. Is it right to go to court, or should I shrug my shoulders and keep quiet? Mataji: some feel if I do not give this person a lesson, he will go on cheating and become worse, and so they go to the court. But there is another way of looking at it. Who is it that has cheated me? Are not all forms, all beings, manifestations of him? What I have been deprived of was evidently not my due. It is God who has taken it from me. There is a third way of dealing with the culprit, illustrated by the following story. A thief broke into the hut of a sadhu and stole whatever he could find. As he was escaping with his loot, the sadhu returned. From a distance, he saw the burglar with the load on his head. He quickly followed him, shouting, "Wait a moment, brother, there are a few more things that you might want. Would you not like this and that and this as well?" The thief was so overcome by the astounding way the sadhu reacted that he fell at his feet, left off stealing, and became a sadhu himself. There is a fourth way of looking at the problem. Is it my business to punish the evildoer? Listen to another story. One day, an ardent bhakta of Shri Krishna was walking, absorbed in the contemplation of his beloved, completely oblivious of his surroundings. Without noticing it, he stepped right on some newly washed clothes that had been spread out on the ground to dry by a washerman. "Have you no eyes?" furiously shouted the washerman, whose work had been spoiled. Getting hold of a stick, he was about to beat the bhakta. At that moment, Shri Krishna was having food with Rukmani. All of a sudden, he jumped up and without explanation hurried away, returning after a short while. "My lord," questioned Rukmani, "why did you leave so suddenly in the middle of your meal? And how is it you have come back so speedily?" Shri Krishna replied, "A very dear bhakta of mine was in danger of being belabored with a stick, so I hastened to his rescue. But when I saw that he had picked up a stone ready to throw it at his adversary, I returned here without delay. Since he was protecting himself, there was no need for me to intervene." There is still another aspect of the matter to be considered. Once a saint was being badly abused by someone. Without any reason, he reflected, "What a terrible punishment this man has incurred by his grave injustice." He therefore gave him a light slap to lessen the disagreeable fate his offense would inevitably bring about. And lastly, if the person who cheated you were your own brother, would you call his action cheating? To remove something from one's home is not called stealing. One takes one's own. Are not all men brothers, children of one father? Who is to punish whom? Whichever of these points of view appeals to you most, according to it you should act. Question: suppose one feels the evildoer must be taught a lesson and goes to court. Does one not thereby injure oneself, especially if one happens to be a seeker after truth? Mataji: yes, certainly, for by acting thus, one's ego will be enlarged. Shri Shri Anandamayi Ma ki Jai.